You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of the Dog Pound Podcast right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your October 15th, 2021 edition, your source of North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, delivered to you right here in the beautiful Niagara region. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Dog Pound Podcast, as well as the network's Twitter account at Armchair GM Pod. You can like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. You can listen to us on many platforms, including Spreaker.com, the free Spreaker app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, CastBox, and Deezer. Wherever you're getting your podcasts at, we are there on demand in audio form. And then, as always, make sure you're giving us some love on the YouTube side of things. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, smashing that bell icon for all updates on videos that are released, and smash that like button if you enjoy our video content on the network. And lastly, our beautiful user-friendly website, armchairgmsports.com, for all things regarding the network, including articles, podcast episodes, sponsors, and contributors. Everything's on there for you guys. So please go and check that out wherever you're getting us. Make sure you're giving us some love and sharing our stuff, because we really appreciate it. As always, I'm one of your hosts of the Dog Pound Podcast. My name is Brandon Caputo, and you can follow me on Twitter right underneath that there at Poots13 at _AGM, if I can say my own Twitter handle right. And I'm always pleased to be joined on the Dog Pound Podcast by my co-host and co-owner of the Armchair GM Sports Network. He is just Kyle.
Hello!
Holy man, that was loud. I feel bad for the audio listeners on that one.
Just blew your headphones out.
Yeah, you sure did. But
Time to buy some new AirPods.
You can follow him on Twitter at JustKyle51. And I'm sure Kyle's just excited because we have IceDogs hockey to talk about. We finally have games. We had training camp. We had the preseason. And now we've had the first week of the regular season of the OHL's return to play season 2021-2022. Kyle, I know our listeners and IceDog fans out there are really excited. But what were your thoughts on just being back at the Meridian Center over training camp, preseason, and then leading into the home opener last weekend?
Holy bleep. Did it ever feel good to be back in that arena, especially when we were at training camp? Oh, that hockey arena smell, that distinct smell of fresh ice. When it hit our nostrils, it was like getting back into the routine. It just felt good to be home, even though I don't live there. I don't live in the arena. But it felt like home, just seeing the ice, seeing the arena, seeing everything in there, and then the players too that were there the last time we were there, seeing them in person, and a lot of them recognizing us and saying hi to us and all that stuff. It was great. I'm so happy we're back to a sense of normalcy. Like, we're somewhat normal now. Obviously with there's still a pandemic going around, but we can do this a lot more safer than we could last year at this time. So I'm glad that we got to that point right now, and I'm just so excited to get this season going. It's already been going, and I'm just excited to continue on and see how this team develops, because it's already been a great start. So training camp showed a lot, and it showed a lot of promise in a lot of the draftees, and so far so good with a couple of games in now with a lot of the rookies. So
two cohorts coming in at the same time, Kyle. We asked the players that during training camp. They said the compete level was there. Coach Burke was really excited about the toughness of two draft classes coming in at the same time. It's definitely not something that we've never seen before, and really an ultimate reset for the OHL when you think about it, with a lot of older players being phased out, aged out, and then you have two new draft classes coming in. So you have some returning players, but a lot of these teams are starting from scratch, and it really is a reset for the league.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably almost a big reset for the IceDogs too, because if you look at the returning players from when that season ended, There's only a few. Like they have a lot of rookies on roster right now. I'm looking at forward wise, they have it indicated as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rookie forwards, and they got 3 rookie defensemen and 1 rookie goalie in Costanzo. So they have a lot of young guys on the team going in this year. Again, like Brand said, there's 2 crop of draft picks that went into training camp. Obviously, the notables got chosen, and you have the returnees like Gostinelli, Butler, Snow, Peters. I mean, Butler and Peters were only here for a short time the last time we were around. But most importantly, and Uberti, I guess, in Agustinelli and Cato and Wright, Mason Howard, like the OGs that were here from a couple of years ago. So it's nice to see that mix in with the new crop of rookies. And so far, so good. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Especially, I think the one thing we point out a lot during training camp and even the beginning of the season here, a lot of development in the original, like the players that were still here back before COVID, and especially our boy Jake Uberti. I think I've seen the most improvement in him development-wise since the last time he was on the ice.
Yeah, he's definitely taken that next step in turning into that 200-foot centerman that the IceDogs really need and are going to rely on this year to play in all situations. And I just I also look at the goaltending. You get Tucker Tynan back, which is an unbelievable story, and then you have Josh Rosenzweig, who obviously was a rookie the last time that they had played, and it seems like he's really improved from that time of when he was a rookie. Obviously, he wasn't thrown into some good situations during the last season there, but I think it's. He's even shown a lot of development through his short time being able to play. He should be. I would expect him to get a game this weekend against Hamilton at some point. But yeah, the goaltending definitely with Tucker Tynan in the net, it definitely stabilizes it a little bit. And with a lot of the goaltending around the league being uncertain, I think the IceDogs having Tucker Tynan is going to give them a huge advantage as opposed to a lot of these teams that really were starting from scratch with their goaltending situation.
Man, did he ever not miss a beat? It honestly, like Tucker just got right into training camp. See, I think I attribute more the not miss a beat thing to the regular season games that have happened so far. In training camp, I was watching him closely saying, okay, let's see how he moves around. Is he a little bit more intimidated by a lot of like crashing to net plays? Like what's going to happen? Because that was a very traumatic experience that a young kid at his age experienced. And, so I was interested to see how he would come back into the game. And it literally, he picked off where he left off literally from that point, because in the first couple of games so far, he has been absolutely stellar and looks incredible. And I think this is going to be a very, very big year for him. I think a lot of NHL teams are going to take a hard look. I'll let Scott take a long look at this kid, because if he can continue what he did in that short time, the last time he was here, I think that will be a very good chance of him getting drafted into the NHL and, being a future top goaltender for a team, whatever drafts him, because I think he has that potential, because just from watching him, and I can't say I'm a pro goalie, but I used to play goalie. Like, I don't know if this means anything, but just from watching him, the guy's got a lot of confidence in net, and that's a big factor. You want to have a goalie that's very, very confident in net, that owns the crease, and Tucker Tynan is that type of goalie. So it was just so exciting to see him back, and I'm glad he's picked off where he's left off, and he's a great so far.
Yep, 2 wins, .950 save percentage, of 1.44 goals against average. He stopped 57 of 60 shots, so can't ask much more from a guy that hasn't been out on the ice in so long. I mean, he was at USA Development Camp, but other than that, I mean, he hasn't been playing in full league games since that injury.
Right.
So it was an incredible moment. I'm glad the fans gave him a really nice ovation, and they kind of honored him a little bit before the game as well. So it was nice to see him back for the home opener. And we basically can just, continue talking about that, Kyle. Just the home opener, having fans back. It's obviously the vaccination protocols are in place, so it might not be as full as what we'd expect from a Meridian Center. There has to be social distancing and things like that in place, and there are certain parts of the arena that are still not available. But for the most part, I think it was a great opening night there in Niagara, and it was definitely a great atmosphere. I think everybody, just like us, were just happy to be back watching and or covering the game. And for the players, I'm sure they were just as excited to finally play in front of some fans as well.
Oh, man, that was fantastic. Regardless of how many people were there, they gave the best ovation. The crowd was hot from start to finish through that entire game, and it was a great opening night game. And then the IceDogs ended up winning that opening game in a very, very dramatic fashion, probably the most dramatic fashion ever, like tying the game and going to overtime and creating like incredible chances in overtime and then winning in a shootout. You couldn't have asked for more. It was such an incredible game, and it was good to see fans back again, doing it safe-wise. You know what else was good? Seeing our chairs there in the press box, still there waiting for us when we got back. Our old stomping ground. We got back there. We seen our boys in the booth there with Bill and Byrne. Shout out to both of them. Glad to see them back, and a couple of other people. Shout out to the 0-60 podcast. They were there too. But it was just nice. But there are new. It's not only the players that are new. There's a lot of new staff in the organization that have been amazing since meeting them so far. We met them in training camp for the first time, kind of face to face, and they've been nothing but exceptional so far. So I got a lot of praise for the new staff right now. So shouts to our girl Nikki there, who is our go-to for everything. So I mean, it's been an awesome training camp and an awesome start to the season. And you know what? I'm excited. You know, they did, was it the day before the opening game, the Ontario government released that new mandate to arenas that they can have full capacity in a safe way. Obviously, it's not every seat filled. I'm curious to see if the IceDogs do open up that one side, that one end. For now, it looks like they're kind of filing everybody in the middle section, which is fine. And you know, it's not only like we can't really just say like, okay, now that they've opened everything, we're going to start seeing fans come back in droves. There are a lot of people out there that are not comfortable with going in these environments right now, and that's completely fine. You know what I mean? Like they have a choice to not feel comfortable if they don't want to go to these situations yet, and that's fine. So I can't expect a 3,500 seat or what is it, like 5,000 seat sellout now, even with the restrictions lifted. I think it's still going to take time, but regardless of that, like I said, for the amount of people that they are allowing in, it's still loud. We still got the best fans in the OHL, and they haven't stopped being the best fans in the OHL. So props to all of you guys too, who are going to these games and still showing your support and being as loud as you can.
Exactly. So I don't think I can say anything better than that, other than we're going to hit a commercial break quickly, and we're going to come back and we're going to discuss the two games. We got post-game from Coach Burke. We got Pano Fimis and Cam Butler, the newest captain of the Niagara IceDogs. So stay right here. I'll be right back on the Dog Pound podcast and our return for the 2021-2022 OHL season right here on the Dog Pound podcast and right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points the selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Yes, the generic rock riffs are back, and we are back here in the Dog Pound podcast. Brandon Caputo and Kyle Aikett back with you here. And
believe
guys,
it or not, Brandon has playing. That's Brandon playing in that intro. He has a guitar. He's got an electric guitar. He's played that intro for us. That is all done by him.
No, I do not. I'm not. I am not gifted when it comes to music.
You lied to me.
No. Anyways, guys, if you're enjoying the video version of the podcast, make sure you're hitting that like button, smashing that subscribe button, hitting that bell icon. Give us some love on the video side. And if you're listening in audio form, give us some love on whatever platform you're listening to us at. We really appreciate that. And with that said, I know you guys are used to me having a wonderful, nice background and backdrop with our Armchair GM's poster. I just recently moved, so I'm still getting things going here. I'll have a nice backdrop hopefully by the next video, and hopefully I won't have to hold my microphone either, as my thing has seemed to my stand has seemed to not want to work today. So we're still working the kinks out, just like Coach Burke's team there. Took a lot of penalties over the weekend, but he hopes to get past that. But with that said, guys, we're gonna give you guys post-game interviews from the Oshawa Generals game on last Saturday. So we'll start off here with Coach Billy Burke, and we'll come back and quickly discuss what he thought. A couple of minutes long here. So here is Coach Billy Burke of the Niagara IceDogs after the 3-2 shootout victory against the Oshawa Generals on Saturday.
Congratulations, Billy. I mean, first game back here in over 500 days, win or lose. How great did it feel just to be back?
Yeah, it felt great. Very exciting. Obviously, an obvious buzz, obvious energy throughout the rink and warm-up, and it was exciting. It was great to be back, and, the fans are amazing. The fans didn't seem like they had any time off at all.
Yeah, for sure. What did you guys miss most about playing here and coming here?
I think the energy, I mean, it's such an exciting, you forget, the exhibition's fun, but, the game day, they put on a great show. The fans are so involved. It's loud. It's just a great atmosphere. It's one of the best rinks in, all of junior hockey, and we're very thankful and grateful to be able to call it our home.
Sure, yeah. A bit of a slow start overall, and then things really turned it up in the third period. What did you think happened between the second and third period type thing?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit maybe of us, thinking that we had a good night on Thursday and we could just show up and everything. And, Oshawa, they don't cheat. They play a very honest, hard game, heavy game. Some real high-end guys. They're very comfortable in low-scoring games. So we had to find a way to break through, and I thought we used our speed a little bit more. That was, it's a big weapon for us, and I didn't think we looked very fast through the first two, but I thought, we looked a little bit quicker and got some results.
Sure. And it's probably going to get old talking about it, but second game into the year, Tucker's another star. I mean, I think we're going to be talking about him quite a bit this year, aren't we? For sure. There's no doubt that, he's a leader. He's the heartbeat of the team. Just a ton of confidence in him. As the shootout went on there, they got a couple great goals, but you just knew he was gonna stand tall and be tough to get another one by him. So a ton of confidence from Tucker, and then a couple great goals by our guys too. I know it's only 2 games, very small sample size, but how great is it to get a couple wins under your belt? Because you don't want to start off the season a couple losses, you start to doubt yourself, right? For sure. I mean, it's only one weekend, but it can certainly set the table for, hopefully continued success. You don't really want to be chasing all season long. You're really going to notice all these 4-point games with all these interconference games. So standings are going to be incredibly tight. Already you can tell there's a ton of parity in the Eastern Conference. So great for us. Definitely have a lot of things to work on, a lot of things we could clean up. But, it was a great memory for us to come out and, steal one in the third at our home opener.
A lot of penalties tonight, Billy. Just is that something that you're hoping? It's the first weekend here, so is that something you're hoping to clean up with the guys, or is that something that's just going to happen because you haven't been playing in so long?
That's a great question, and to be honest, the penalties, I can't think of one that was a good one. A lot of stick stuff, silly stuff, lazy stuff, offensive zone stuff. Those are tough penalties to kill. If your guy's taking a lazy hook in the offensive zone, it doesn't really motivate the team to get out there, where it motivates the other team. So we need to be smarter. Power plays are dangerous in this league, and you can't just keep relying on penalty killing and good goaltending. You have to play a lot smarter.
Jake, obviously, goal and assist. He was banged up there as well after the goal. Just what did you think of his performance tonight, and is he going to be okay moving forward?
I actually thought he got better as it went on. I didn't think he was as consistent as he'd like to be in the first 2 periods, but that's what winners do, and that's what big players do. They're able to always, focus and rebound to the next shift, and that's what Jake did. To come out and look strong and as fast as he did, and get that goal at a huge moment for us. Really proud of him. I hope he's okay. I think he'll be okay, but a couple days off now, Thanksgiving weekend, to hopefully rest up.
And lastly, goes to 3-on-3 overtime. A lot of line changes, a lot of things mixed up there. So, what was your strategy just in general in the game and going into overtime, kind of with the line line combinations? Was there something that you liked or didn't like and kind of had to switch up there?
Yeah, we jimmied the lines a little bit there in the third period, trying to just get something going. In overtime, we only practiced it really one time this week. So definitely some things to work on, that one shift back and forth. The only saving grace was their three guys were just as tired as ours. So I know they'll be having the same overtime conversation. But again, 2 overtime breakaway saves, just outstanding. Again, when we needed Tucker, he stepped up, and we certainly needed him in overtime. And we got to be better, a little bit better in overtime.
Billy, you have to play without Mason Howard. Augustinelli's up there with a sling on right now. D. Simone's not in. A lot of younger guys playing bigger roles than you probably expected the first weekend of October. How happy are you with the younger guys that you probably didn't expect to play at this point?
Yeah, very, very happy. They're helping us win right now. They're parts of this team. Really, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're going to help us win, then you're going to be in that lineup. And to see the future and to see a guy like Copeland with that confidence as a 16-year-old to go out and score that, shootout winner was awesome to see, and just got to keep going. There's obviously going to be walls throughout the season and little hills that you got to climb, but very talented, very smart group of young guys that are earning everything they're getting.
Flashback to March of 2020, Cam Snow playing on this team. Tonight, he's out there. He's the first guy out on your penalty kill every time. If you're down 2 men, he's the only forward out there. What's changed in his game that has given you the confidence to put him out there right away?
He's just like a Swiss Army knife, jack of all trade guy. I mean, he'll be on the PK. I'll play him center, left, right wing, different positions in the course of a period. He's just a hockey player. He's very smart, very strong, good feet, good hands. Nothing rattles him. He's a leader. He's a real strong, underrated guy for us that we need a shift. Him, Cam Peters can give us some energy, kill a penalty. They do a great job. They take a ton of pride in it. So, guys like Snowy are doing a great job for us.
There you have it. There's Coach Billy Burke after the win against Oshawa. Kyle, a lot of good stuff there from Coach. Obviously, he wasn't happy about a lot of the penalties that they can clean up, a lot of stuff that, a lot of sticking penalties, holding, stuff like that, stuff that can get cleared up, cleaned up throughout the season.
Yeah.
But, it's their first games of in so long that that stuff's going to happen. I expect that stuff to get cleaned up. But
you got a bunch of rookies that have never played in the OHL before, so obviously and they're in that age, where testosterone is a thing, right, with these teenagers. So it's gonna happen regardless. You can't. That's why I remember last year when they said the OHL was gonna come back with no hitting. I'm like, do you know what age group this is? The teenage boys between 16 and 19, the testosterone levels are through the roof. You can't tell them not to hit people.
Yeah, good luck. They're gonna
get hit out there, and they're gonna go
Imagine Mason Howard not being able to hit. It would basically be like your Sunday shinny league there, Kyle.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. He's got a little chippier, but anyways, I heard that from the penalties. The big thing he brought up with the penalties was there wasn't any good penalties. They're all lazy and calls that they shouldn't be, penalties that they shouldn't be taking. But again, with a lot of the rookies, that's going to take a little bit of time to, get accustomed to the OHL and start gaining that confidence of not to try to retaliate. So that'll come with time, but there was a little bit. There maybe should have been a lot less, I think, especially in the third period. Almost, I think there was a lot of penalties in the third period that probably were unnecessary. So, besides that, I took a lot from what he said. He said the players were in that mindset from the Thursday game. It's something they can't have from a win, thinking they can just come into the home ice and have an easy skate. And Oshawa brought it to them, and Shirley brought it to him and made him work for that W. So that was one thing I noticed, that he said that they're going to be obviously teaching a lot of these younger kids that, even after a win, you can't be coasting into the next game, which is a big thing. Love that he mentioned the whole Tucker Tiny thing. He's a leader, the heartbeat of the team. Love hearing that. Good to have to start with the W's. Great question to ask Coach. It's a good thing you want to start with a bunch of W's. I want to start with a bunch of L's, because then you start doubting yourself. I thought that was a good thing to say. And there's going to be a lot of parity this year. We're only facing the Eastern Conference teams. So, it's going to be or mostly the Eastern Conference teams. It's going to be an interesting season this year for the IceDogs, something a little bit different schedule-wise. And then, high praise, obviously, for Jake Uberti and Juan Copeland. I love that he got a nice shout-out from the coach, because I thought he had a really excellent game. And your boy Cam Snow there. I love that last question by our boy Matt Young. I'm sure you were. I saw you in the scrum there, and you were really happy. So
yeah, I mean, who would have thought that Cam Snow would have been a guy that Coach Burke would have called the jack of all trades, that he could throw out in any situation, throws him out on the number one penalty kill. Just, a relentless player that has really shown that he has taken that next step. He did not have a spot on this team coming into this season. Nothing was going to be handed to these veterans with two young draft classes coming in at the same time. So Cam Snow's really earned his ice time and really earned the spot on this team, and he's really proven that to everybody within the coaching staff as well.
You know what he is? And it's awful comparison because you don't like my team. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, he is the Zach Hyman or the Niagara IceDogs.
I guess you could say in a way, yeah. I mean,
right? Like Zach Hyman got put into every situation. He got put in the penalty kill. He got put in the power play when they wanted to get out there and, change something up. They put him out in the situations where they put him with the skilled players. They put him down the third and fourth line with the lower end players. Basically, Hyman was the jack of all trades for the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is Cam Snow's role. He might not be as gritty and grindy and, a guy's going to do the big hit every play for the Niagara IceDogs, but in the hockey aspect of it, he is a great jack of all trades, and I definitely noticed that with him from what Coach said, and I saw a lot of that in the opening game. So I think he's basically the Zach Hyman of the Niagara IceDogs, and which is a great thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody's going to be able to do that role. So for him to kind of take that role on and welcome the challenge, again, he's a smaller guy, so he's got to brace himself and be able to defend himself at times because people are going to go after him because of his size. But he's definitely showing that he's not afraid to be in that role and willing to do whatever the team needs him to do. So good on Cam for that. But yeah, just like you mentioned, just coming out of the win against Barrie and their home opener. Obviously, they didn't have Brant Clark, who's a superstar player on their D-core, but they still beat a very solid Barrie Colts team.
Ranked 5 in the CHL. Even with Brant Clark, I'm like, out of the entire CHL, oof, they're ranked 5?
Well,
I'm like, man, what's going on in the other two leagues? Have like the crop of rookies just been cleaned house?
Former Niagara IceDogs head coach Marty Williamson in Barrie, so they get the win against their former coach. So big win there, and then you come into Oshawa and Kyle. I mean, through 2 periods, Oshawa, I think they outplayed the IceDogs, and Tucker Tynan really kept them in this game. Jake Uberti gets the goal with about 8 or 9 minutes left in the third, and both teams exchange goals after that, and they get to the overtime and shootout. But I mean, Tucker Tynan kept them in this game for the most part and allowed
100%.
them to have that chance to continue to grind and continue to try to find that goal and that breakthrough, which Uberti ended up giving them.
Yeah, exactly. It was Oshawa all over the Dogs in the first 2 periods. It was getting pretty ugly. I thought the game was going to be a lot worse than what actually transpired. Like I thought we're for sure we were going to lose like a 2-0, 3-0 game, and we weren't going to get anything going. And there was a few times where we got a spark. The kids got a lot of that big second win in the third period. Jake Uberti kind of set the tone with that goal, and it was a really, really good rest of the game when they finally started finding their footing. And Oshawa played a really, really great game. Like, hats off to them. I think this is going to be a team that every time we play them this year, it's going to be a game like this every year. It's either going to be a 1-goal game or we're going to extra time because they are a tough team. They have a really stud player.
Callum Ritchie.
Yeah, he's a really, really stud of a player, and he's going to do really good for Oshawa this year. So I can't wait to play him again. It's great hockey. It looks like we're going to get out of these two teams when they play each other. But great on Niagara IceDogs for pulling through, finding that extra grit. And how about that shootout goal by the defenseman? He's got that Italian last name.
Dionisio?
Yeah, Dionisio.
And Juan Copeland.
He went to the shootout, and he went and he scored the goal. Dionisio.
And Juan Copeland as well.
Yeah, one home. But Dionisio, a defenseman, pulls the Zdeno Chara fake slap shot backhand forehand goal. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was great.
Awesome. It was awesome. I was so hyped when that happened.
Yeah, and for these kids, I mean, they might have been shell-shocked in the first couple of periods, just kind of understanding what a home opener was like in Niagara, but they pulled it through, and then in overtime in the shootout, I mean, we'll get to Pano Fimis' postgame, but they didn't seem to be fazed by that, and especially Tucker Tynan coming up huge in the shootout. I mean, I think there were 2 or 3 times that Oshawa could have won the game, and he made game-saving stops to keep it going, so Just a really nice first game back in the Meridian Center, and glad they were able to pull it out with the shootout victory. Again, the shootout is what it is, and like you mentioned, maybe just go 3-on-3 for 10 minutes, and if it's not decided, end it in a tie. I think we'd all be okay with that, but I think it was definitely a great start for the IceDogs. So if you don't have anything else, I'll get to the players post game.
I'm just gonna add one more, and we're gonna get to his post game in particular. I mean, we didn't see him on the score sheet, but I think he still looked great. He scored in the first game of the season in his first OHL game, which is awesome. But Pano Fimis, the big star of this team, the future of this team, the guy who we took second overall in the first out of the 2 drafts that have gone by since COVID started, and he was the best forward available. You know, they took North Bay took
Ty Nelson,
the defenseman with the first overall pick, so we got the chance to take the best forward in Pano Fimis, and I think he's looked really, really good out there. He's got a lot of confidence with that puck, and I think with a little bit more fine-tuning, this guy is going to be an absolute stud. So I can't wait for the rest of the season with Pano. Can't wait to hear what he says with the post-game as well.
Yeah, seems like nothing is phasing him on or off the ice so far, and that's a lot of pressure for a guy that's a second overall pick to come in, and the teams are going to be going after him a little bit. So let's get to Pano Fimis' post-game after the win against the Oshawa Generals in the shootout. Here it is.
Pano, you scored your first goal going back a few days here on Thursday. Just what was that moment like there? Obviously on the road, wasn't at home, but getting your first OHL goal, official goal, how'd that feel?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, obviously it's a special moment, but at the same time, it's on the road, so it's great to get that one off my chest. But it was a great team win, and it was a great night overall as a whole. To get that first win.
And being back at home, obviously you would have liked to score tonight, but what did you think of your first experience in front of a Meridian Center crowd, the home opener here? Just how did you feel like you played out there? Obviously, there's going to be some things to clean up for everybody, but how did you think your performance was tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the fans were awesome. Great atmosphere out there, and they definitely played a role in us winning that hockey game. In terms of my play personally, I mean, I know I got better as the game went on, but I got a lot more to show to these fans in this hockey club. So, again, it was great to win, and we get to enjoy the weekend with our family and get back to work on Tuesday.
And lastly, what were the nerves like there in overtime and a shootout? Just, it wasn't an easy one for the first home game. Just how were you feeling out there, and were you able to keep an even keel for that overtime shootout?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just overtime, right? Like, at the end of the day, we're there to win a hockey game. So our job is to stay calm and put that puck in the net. And thankfully, the rest of the boys were able to get that done. So, again, it was a great win, and back to work on Tuesday.
This is your first real weekend with regular season games in the league. What's the biggest adjustment for you? I mean, obviously you didn't get to play last year. This year you're coming in, having that layoff that guys normally don't have. Big adjustment coming into the league. What are you finding is the biggest difference for you personally?
Speed and pace are definitely a big one, as well as strength. But at the same time, I worked really hard the last 18 months to be able to be fully prepared for when this comes, and I think I did a great job of that. But at the same time, I got lots of work to do. So, I mean, speed and strength are probably the biggest ones.
Still your first couple of games in the league. Billy Burke's putting you out there on the penalty kill as a young guy. I can't say I've ever seen that in Niagara, where a guy's out there killing penalties in his first games in the OHL. How does that help your confidence?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely helps my confidence, and the older guys have been great to me to be able to give me that confidence as well. So I'm very fortunate to be able to be given those opportunities, but at the end of the day, we've got to capitalize on them. So.
Long time to make your OHL debut from draft day, but you create goals for yourself and you try to hit those. Do you feel like you did that heading into opening night on Thursday?
Yeah, I definitely think I did that. Again, in that game as well, I got better as the game went on. It's our first regular season game, so there was definitely some adjustments that were needed. But at the same time, we got lots of work to do as a team and for me personally. So.
Yeah, how much reflecting are you going to do on this first weekend to try and look back? No small sample size, but you can still look at it and say, I like this about my game, but I didn't like this. How much are you going to look back on this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's my first week of playing hockey in the last 18 months, so I can't be too critical, but at the same time, there's definitely video that I can go over on, and there's a lot of kinks that I got to get out of my game for myself and for the team. So we're definitely gonna do that when we come back. So
there it is, Pano Fimis post game. Kyle, thoughts?
Wow, guy's well spoken. I'll tell you that much. You don't. You don't hear a lot of well-spoken guys like that, especially at his age in the OHL. Usually the interviews are kind of like the same generic interviews, but this guy, I love the way he presents himself. Very, very mature. Again, we've said this before, even after interviewing him and even talking about him in other shows. Like, he's got this mature presence about him, and he's very, very mature for his age. And you see that a lot in his interviews, and I really do appreciate him noticing the critical aspects of his game and saying that he needs to work on it, rather than like all these questions were about, kind of like praising him, but he's going back and saying like, well, like I did have a good game, but I noticed the things that I need to work on, and there's always going to be tape that I can go back and look at and improve on with his own game. So I love that, the fact that he can notice that. I love the fact he says not even just him, but the team, there's a lot of work to do with the IceDogs this year. And you know what? It was a great interview, and I can't believe, I'm just happy a kid like this is on our team. Like this kid's literally our future, and if this interview didn't show it, guys, I don't know what else would. He is going to be a fantastic player on and off the ice. Yeah, he's just going to be a great 200-foot player. He's just he takes pride in his defense as much as he does his offense. So I think they're going to be in good hands as long as Pano Fimis continues his development here. Obviously missed out on his rookie year, so this is his rookie year, but he definitely looks like a mature young man that's well beyond his years as far as that aspect goes. So with that said, Kyle, let's quickly get to the captain, the newest captain of the Niagara IceDogs, Cam Butler. Before we get to him, thoughts on him being named captain of this team and what we expect from him to kind of lead by example this year, as he's not the most outspoken guy, but he definitely wants to take that next step in his leadership. We saw that at training camp, and the coaching staff obviously rewarded him with that as well. If goalies were acceptable as team captains, I maybe would have thought they would have put it on Tucker Tynan, but obviously, and I think Pano is the future captain of this team. Regardless, we'll have to see what happens to Butler this year and if he'd be back next year. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if he's allowed to come back next year. Yep. But we'll see what happens. But I think it's a good choice. I think Butler showed a lot of team takeover presence at the end when we did acquire him in that trade from Peterborough. He came right in and took a hold of this team. He did have a little bit of help with like Lodnia that was still around and stuff, but who was the captain at that time. But I could see a lot out of Butler's game and a lot of his presence on the ice too, taking control of this team and being that captain that they need. So I think it was a really fitting choice, making Cam Butler the captain. Again, not a well-spoken kid, but I think behind closed doors, I think there's a lot of tendencies that will obviously prove that why he is a captain, and there's a lot of stuff we can't see behind the door. So like in the locker room, I'm assuming that there's a reason why they chose Cam Butler. They didn't just say, okay, yeah, number 12, yeah, you're captain. No, there's a lot more that goes into choosing a captain than just, looking at a guy across the room and saying, yeah, he looks like a captain, make him captain. So I can't wait to see what he has to say, and I think he's going to do a really great job at leading this team going into this year. Yeah, I mean, again, he was at Detroit Red Wings development camp and stayed for some of their training camp. He's going to be a guy that they're going to lean on to be a leader as far as on the score sheet, but also trying to lead by example as well. So let's get to Cam Butler in the post game, and basically what I just said there, he'll talk about. So here it is, Cam Butler, the new captain of the Niagara IceDogs post game against Oshawa.
Cam, obviously, we talked to you in training camp. You were really looking to take on a leadership role this year. We could see it with your play on the ice and off the ice as well. Just how excited are you to now be named the captain of this organization?
Yeah, it's special for sure. It's something I was looking towards this season. I was striving for it, and I just put my best foot forward, worked hard, and tried to lead by example.
As far as your play tonight, just obviously you scored the shootout winner there. It was a wild game there at the end. A lot of penalties. Just how were you guys able to battle through it and ended up getting the win? Obviously, Tucker came up big there a few times. But what did you think of the first game out there? And obviously a very long time. Just how did you feel like you played out there? And how did you feel like the competitiveness kind of ramped up as the game went on?
Yeah, it was fantastic to be back, and especially being at 100% capacity now, having our building almost full. It was pretty special for everyone in our room. And yeah, like you said, Tucker's still on the side again, back-to-back nights. So when he's playing like that, it's easy for us to play in front of him. And yeah, it was a little sloppy the first two periods, but I think we're a third period team, and we showed that tonight. So.
And what are you going to take from, being the captain? It's a letter, but it's also a leadership group. You guys have to pull it together, as a unit. Just what are you going to be trying to do for your game as well as for the teammates now for this season with that added responsibility?
I think it's just being consistent, night in, night out. Just play hard, be physical, and play your game, not overthink it. We're 2-0 now. Can't let that get to our heads, and just continue to play hard.
March of 2020 is a long time ago. You only had a couple months here prior to everything shutting down. What's the nicest thing about being back here playing hockey again for yourself? I mean, since you had such a limited experience before.
I think just being with the guys, being back in the routine, coming to the rink every day, practice, seeing everyone's face every day. It feels really good to be back and just know that hockey season's back and we're waiting around. Yeah,
exactly. You were once a rookie, as we know. One of those things is you've got a whole bunch of teammates in there that some of them have waited a year and a half to play their first OHL game. Nerves have to be a thing. What do you talk to them about prior to the first game to try and settle the boys down a little bit and get them going?
It's just another hockey game. They're all fantastic hockey players. They're all great guys, so you don't need to overthink it. We've played many games before. It's just another one. Just go out, play your game, and have fun.
When you were here before, you didn't have Tucker Tynan in goal. He's back now. How nice is it for you guys to see what the level he's playing at once again for you guys, and to see him back overall?
It's outstanding. The things he's done over this quarantine and what he's worked on and how much effort he's put into this to come back to what he is, it's absolutely incredible, and we're proud of him and couldn't be happy to have him back.
There's Cam Butler, the captain of the Niagara IceDogs, Kyle. Again, he's not the most outspoken guy, but definitely, when he speaks, you want to listen because he's a very smart young kid. And, you could tell that he really wanted to take that next step in his leadership qualities coming over. That was not an easy situation coming over from Peterborough, a winning team, a team that was destined to be in the playoffs and make a Memorial Cup run. And he gets traded to this team that obviously was at the basement and rebuilding. So he comes in with a good attitude and then obviously comes into this season with an even better attitude and takes it to that next level and is named captain. Again, not the most exciting voice out there, but again, he seems genuinely excited to be the captain of the IceDogs and that he wants to be here and he wants to help these young kids along. We saw that throughout training camp. Just really good to hear Cam's thoughts on being given that honor of being the captain of this team with such great captains that have followed in his footsteps as well.
Yeah, and he said it the best, like, when they asked him about the players and them being nervous, what does he say to the players? He gives them a lot of praise, high praise, that they're all fantastic hockey players, and says, he doesn't need to say much because he knows that they all have the confidence to be great hockey players and to, beat out the nerves. And, he just needs to be there to slowly guide them, and then they can do the rest on their own. And it shows that he does have a lot of faith in his teammates there, which is another good asset to have.
Yep. So we heard from Pano Fimis, we heard from Coach Billy Burke, and we heard from Cam Butler. We'll have many more interviews throughout the rest of the season, which is good for us to be able to cover the team and to give you guys the scoop on what's going on with the players and the coaches and their thoughts after every game. I mean, we can sit here for 50 minutes and talk, but you also want to know what's going on, what they're saying, So I think having that element and adding that into our podcast is going to be big this year. So being able to cover the team in that regard is big to be able to give you guys kind of that extra layer of coverage that is always great to have.
Yeah, and we're also going to be doing myself. I'll be writing recaps of the games on our website, so you guys can read the recaps of the game. I'll be writing them for every home game that I can attend. They'll be written and posted on the website as well, so you guys can see kind of like what exactly happened. If you didn't miss it and you can't catch the highlights and you feel like reading, I'll do the best I can to recap the game in short form as possible, but those will be available for you. But yeah, again, this podcast, we're going to bring you guys as much as we can that you don't see, especially from behind the scenes, what we see out of the game as well. Two knowledgeable people in the game of hockey and what we see from obviously up in the press box, and give you guys our takes on what we think of the Dogs this year. So I'm excited for the rest of the season and to get this podcast going and providing more content to you guys. So thank you to all of you for all your support that you've given us so far, especially to, I guess, the dads out there listening to us, and we seem to be the IceDogs dads' favorite podcast. So shout outs to all the dads out there. for listening and tuning in each and every single week. All your sons are fantastic hockey players.
Yeah, so. I guess they're just trying to get the inside scoop on what's going on with their kids with us, but we'll take it, I guess. But
yeah.
Also, Andrew Thompson, if you guys didn't know, Drew Deeks is going to be joining us for IceDogs coverage when he can. So we will sometimes have a 3-person panel. Sometimes it'll be myself and Kyle. Sometimes it'll be myself and Andrew, and maybe for whatever reason it's going to be Andrew and Kyle. But regardless, we've got 3 people so covering the team for the Dog Pound podcast and the network this year. So it's going to be fun. Kyle, we got the K9 Cup starting tonight and tomorrow night at the Meridian Center. No, well, tonight, it's Friday night, and then tomorrow night at the Meridian Center. So again, the first installment of the K9 Cup is upon us here. The Hamilton Bulldogs and the Niagara IceDogs, always fun matchups. The Bulldogs are kind of in a transition phase as well. They lose their Arthur Kaliev, a stud player like that, and they've got Mysick and Logan Morrison, who are a couple of good players as well. New head coach, though, former Sabres legendary defenseman Jay McKee is now the head coach of the Hamilton Bulldogs, so that'll be really interesting. But final thoughts, Kyle, on getting the K9 Cup started up going again with our beloved Hamilton Bulldogs just up the QEW.
Dog rival. We're obviously with the better dogs, but yes, I can't wait to get this rivalry getting going again. It's going to be another tough test for a lot of the crop and the new IceDogs, facing a lot of established players on the on the Bulldogs, and a couple of them that have made big steps in their career. So it's going to be a big test for them. They've looked all right so far from what I've seen in their game recap, so it's going to be a really good game. I can't wait for this home and home with both teams. Hopefully we can at least escape with 1 W. I'm hoping, be awesome for 2. I'm at least hoping for at least 1 out of the 2 games. Hopefully it's the one that we attend on Saturday, but I'm excited for this.
Yep, the rivalry starts off again. Who let the dogs out? Can't play that because of copyright issues anymore. But,
boo! Yeah. DMCA, boo!
With that said, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you've enjoyed our return installment of the Dog Pound podcast for finally some hockey to talk about for the 2021-2022 IceDogs and Ontario Hockey League season. Again, we are your source North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, delivered to you right here in the beautiful Niagara region. This has been the Dog Pound podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, and make sure you're giving us some love on the YouTube side of things. Make sure you're hitting that bell icon, smashing that subscribe button, and hitting that like button for all updates on anything that gets released on our YouTube channel. NHL 22 gets released actually today, the day that this is going to be posted, so we will hopefully be getting you guys some gaming content. We'll see what happens with that. And make sure you're giving the Dog Pound podcast a follow at Dog Pound Podcast, and as well as the network at Armchair GM Pod. Make sure you're giving the host some love as well. Follow Kyle at JustKyle51. Follow myself at Capootz13_AGM, and follow Andrew at Drew_Deeks. And as a big thank you to all of our great sponsors and fans who will put us on, support the network, keeping the show on the air and listening to us on whatever audio or video platform. We really appreciate that. And this has been, once again, the Dog Pound podcast for the October 15th, 2021 installment right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network by sports fans, for sports fans. Go Dogs go, bark, 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 and we'll see you guys again next week.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.